Yes, sir. No, a strange number. No, say, I Mommy, why are you eating so fast? Like somebody's chasing you. Okay.
Be around on the night.
How are you? The pizza ladies, they are from Italy. They are from Italy, from Kenya.
Can you have YouTube, Vanessa and Baba Kale? Then we have it as dessert.
It's allowed.
I see camera here. These two. You have to eat it. Oh, you It's just to cut. There's no formula.
Give us instructions.
There's no instruction. Who is the name? Okay. Yes, just cut it. Let
Who's taking the picture?
Mama.
Dennis, you're bending too much. Maybe, no, your face. At least we can see you guys.
A job in the future as well as professors as well. And after college, you know, learning never really stops. You keep on learning. And when you have those connections with like your professors, you can ask them questions in the future about like whatever your job is, especially if they relate to that, and they can help you get through your careers as well. Another thing was that when you go to college, you don't want to have a lot of stuff on your plate. I know a lot of people like to work, and that's fine. I worked in college as well. But you want to be as organized as possible, so you have as much time as possible. Not just to like study and do your work, but also this free time, because you need that time to relax your mind from all the stuff that you're doing. College for me was really fun. Obviously, COVID put a big hamper on it, but getting through that really helped me to understand how hard like working hard can be, but how like fruitful it can also be. Because obviously now I have a bachelor's degree, and I'm very happy with it, and I'm just in general very happy with my school and what I've done. Thank you.
Next for me.
Hi, hello. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
I've been told I mumble and that I talk very low, so I'm trying my best to project. So my name is Bernice Segua. I graduated from Montclair State University with a bachelor's degree in journalism and digital media. I also minored in political science while I was there. I was in a few clubs. I wrote a newspaper. I did broadcast journalism, which is what I feel like a lot of you know me for. In terms of advice that I would give, it feels weird because I feel like I was just going into college. It feels like I was just going into high school like yesterday, and now I'm standing here offering advice to those who are younger than me. I feel like a lot of challenges I faced while I was in college was comparing my accomplishments to others. I feel like oftentimes that can deter more than it can encourage. And I just believe that everyone is on their own path, and I think that people should look at others not as a form of comparison, but as a form of encouragement. I don't believe that you should judge your life or your progress in life based on what other people are doing. I think that everyone is destined for their own path. I can attest to that. I wanted to go into medicine before I went into college, and I believe that if I continue that, I wouldn't be as happy or as successful as I am right now. And also to take a risk. I took a risk changing my major to journalism, and it's something that I do not regret in the slightest. I'm very proud of my degree, and I'm very proud of the work that it took to get here. So, yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Julie. I graduated. I just finished my freshman year. I go to Rome University. I went in as a biology major and a public health and wellness minor, but I changed my major to my minor. So now my major is public health and wellness. Going in, I had an internship with the African Studies Department. I brought majors and minors to the program. I worked with Dr. Rose. I also was involved in a lot of Black orgs like ESU, Seattle, WIP, and ASA. Next year, I'm actually going to be on the executive board of the African Studies Association. So the advice I would say is it's okay to change your major. A lot of people change their major, like 50% change their major. It's very normal. I'd say to get involved in network. Like Carol said, it's really important. Just right now, I'm talking to the doctor about public health and wellness. I said focus and give your everything. My dad always says, it doesn't matter what you do, if you're the best, you're going to be successful. And be patient with yourself because you guys are going to be freshmen. Everyone else is a freshman. Everyone's figuring it out. So give yourself the benefit of the doubt and try your best.
Can I just ask one question? What made you, what interests you about public health? I mean, what made that switch?
Okay, so
biology major with pre-med intent. My decision was to be OBGYN. And when I was talking to my pre-med advisor, he suggested I get a major, a minor, because med school is competitive and just to like set myself apart. So I chose public wellness because it just made more sense to me. And it just was like strategic in a sense because a lot of classes matched up with my major, so I would be taking less classes having sense. And I decided to make it my major. Decided to make my minor major because biology is like a lot more like science and mathematical based, while public health and wellness is like health. Like I'll be taking like healthcare systems and respiratory, like it's more like yeah, you know.
What was the question?
Well, this is, no, that was just for her. I guess your question is, you're a doctor now, tell us a little bit about your doctoral.
Okay.
Hey, Jenny, Dr. Jenny, endurance and perseverance.
Okay. First of all, I think I want to say I'm really excited that we are here. A moment like this, for me, it's a journey that began many years ago, a journey that has taken many countries, a journey that has taken a big community, SMC being at the center of it. And I will tell you something no one ever knew. When I came to New Jersey, I had no plans to do a PhD at all. And I met one man of God that you know very well, Bishop Zekera. And he asked me, "You're so philosophical. Do you have a PhD?" I said, "No." He said, "You should do one." I said, I don't want. It's not changing anything in my career. After all, I was still at the peak of my career. And I was thinking I should just be working on my retirement. And there I was. And Bishop, I wish you can hear this, he pushed me. He asked me on several Sundays, "How far are you?" And finally, you know, then it came my wife, and she said, "You should do this thing, you can do it." I have a reason of saying this. If I speak to some of you here, you will be in that status of mind. I already spoke to one and said, no, I'm retired. I was feeling the same. It is not an easy journey. And Pastor just used my own words to him. It's not an easy journey. 3 words, very important. The first is perseverance. The second is consistent. And the third is working hard. It does not come easy. You have to put efforts. You have to invest your time. If there is a time I lost friends, it's during that time, because I never went anywhere. I never interacted so much. I was always thinking about what I am. The person who has learned my course better than me is my wife, because I always discussed with her like my classmate. She tell me, these things, I'm not interested. I say, no, but we have to discuss, because then in philosophical thinking, it's about dialogue and extracting content and building it into context and then applying it. May sound complicated, it's very simple. So maybe for those of you who don't know, my doctorate is in public health, but I majored in health education, and there's a reason for that. My mother is here. She told me long time ago I can be a teacher, and I refused, and I didn't want to talk about being a teacher, because she was a teacher, but her level of teaching was not the level I teach today, but I did not understand it. The reason of this point is we have a lot of young people here If you tell me, Caleb, if I tell you I want you to do this, don't just refuse. Explain me. All right? Because today I teach. She wanted me to be a teacher. Right? You don't know where those two match. Educated, not educated, the power of a parent, the position of a parent in a child is indispensable. The young people who are here. The space of a parent in your journey of career and education is indispensable. They might sound, oh, they're working in group of, no, they know something you don't know. So my message and my lesson is, when you hear something, even if you don't like it, write it down. Am I communicating? Especially here also. If you hear something and you don't like it, and especially from a parent, put it down. It will be a reference point. And especially when the words don't add. Then you go back to that list and you say, my mom used to say this, or my dad used to say this. Does it really mean anything in what I am going through? And you will have a better way of making decisions. I think the lessons I brought in from my journey has been, one, education is passion. Don't go running, jump into a PhD if you have no passion. You never finish it. You must have passion on whatever you want to do. That is why nobody is enrolled undergrad to do a PhD, because you develop passion as you go along. So don't hear PhD. I have a lot of colleagues, and especially teachers who are here. People who start and they never finish. A lot of them, and they end up being frustrated. So don't get to that point. Start building your passion. Start engaging within yourself in terms of what change can I bring? Because PhD is not about being salary. It's about becoming what my professor told me, a community worker. You use your knowledge to shape the society. And by shaping the society, other things come along your way. So, I think the best thing I can describe myself, I have now become a community worker. And one of the things that I would like to do, because I think I can do it very well, is mentoring young minds into the journey of education. Because a lot of us think education is going to classroom and getting 90 or 95 or those high degrees. Someone said today, it's not as much. What did you use? I know, we never remember what you said. It's not about getting this grade. I like the way you positioned education as an option. And I think my summary of that, education and character are inseparable. Because the other things are on there. You can be so smart and you ruin your character, that education is useless. You can be so smart and you cannot sit on a round table to argue ideas because of certain characters, that is useless. So as we build our careers, especially this level, start thinking, what character? I participate in global hires, where we hire the topmost smart people. And one of the things we look for is not the degree. We look at the character of the person to bring change. Because the skills you have, if you don't have a character to translate them to change in this world, those top things you hear, you can't learn there. But if you can do that, it's possible. So I will end there, but if anyone has a question, please feel free to ask me. Kate just asked me, what do you do every day? Very good question, because she's thinking of what she's thinking. She told me she's changed, and I said, welcome to my world. And she asked me a very good question. What do you do every day? And I'm not going to explain you because that was our question, but I hope it made you think very different. So, if you have similar questions, and you're a young man here, or a young woman here, or even a parent, let's have a conversation, because it doesn't end where you think. In fact, that's the beginning. And it's doable. It may sound crazy, but I told you my journey. It started with Bishop Zekera, and I thought, no. But here I am. Well, 6 years down the line, it's not easy. But made it because of perseverance, consistency, and working hard. Thank you.
Where are you?
Hi everyone. For those who don't know me, I'm Caleb. I'm currently a student at Penn State University. My major is public health. I'm focusing more on health and human development. Advice that I can have for people who are graduating high school or going into high school. High school is a very interesting place. It's a very eye-opener. I know there's like books out there that say high school is all this big fancy school, this and that. Visually being there, it's not all that it's supposed to be. For example, an example that I go to high school is high school is like a free trial for like Netflix, Hulu, those like streaming services. It's like an eye-opener. It helps you see like people, like their true colors, what I like to call them. And in my perspective, I've seen a lot of true colors, and speaking like personally to everyone, I left high school with one very close friend that I'm still very close friends with. And in high school, you may think that like it's all about popularity, blah blah blah. Those things they don't follow you. And experiences in college. College is difficult, adjusting. I'll say that. But like eventually, as you progress, you find people that you're very close with. Going back to Casey's growing up during society club, join those clubs, join those activities, meet people who share the same like visions, dreams, concepts, because those are people that can help you build and fertilize your future. That's it.
Are there any questions for our panel?
How do you answer that?
I think that's not for me.
I've been going to my twice a week church, so I go there every once in a while. So I absolutely been going to church. Even after college, I was here like almost every week for like the tech team stuff.
So I didn't want to bring you, but this one is rather kind of a challenge. Everybody is looking up to you, even your spiritual contribution to the young people. Just come back, whatever it does, mentor them. You know what I mean? We miss you when you are not hearing us. Manage, you came when we not remember? So if you start when you go away, you don't come back, but the point is, we need you here. We're not stopping you from going outside there, but anytime you get a chance, come back here. I always feel like here, right? Yeah.
You know, from your insight, you've gone through that, you are now on a career path. How did you reconcile that? Or you just had the parents that said, yeah, go for what you want, not pushing you a little bit to their way, what they want, the career path they want you to take? Thank you.
My father really wanted me to do accounting, going to college, because he's an accountant himself, and he thought that I was really good with numbers, so that would be something that was really good for me. Personally, I didn't want to do accounting at all, because I didn't enjoy it. I didn't see a lot of fun in it, but I didn't completely dismiss it. So when I went to college, I actually went in undecided, because I didn't know exactly what to do, and I did take 2 accounting classes during that undecided time. And when I took those classes, I realized that I really don't want to do that. But then I also took like sports classes and like marketing classes, and I realized that that's really what I wanted to do. So it's more of like, I think that like, as a kid, you can't completely dismiss what your parents want you to do. And then it's the same both ways. As a parent, you can't completely dismiss what they want to do. Because I forget who said it, but I said before, it's like, it doesn't matter what you do, but whatever you do, as long as you're the best in it, then you'll be successful. And for me, I didn't dismiss what my dad told me. I took the classes and I found out I didn't like it, but then I took marketing classes and I found out that's what I really liked. And then my dad was like, yeah, if you really like what you did this, then do that. You tried that, you didn't like that. So it's just taking opportunities and just trying different things.
I want to say 3 things, and I will use my wife's first statement. And the young people who are here, please open your both ears because you need to hear this. We should have brought a mic here. I'm losing my voice now. 3 things, and the young people who are here, please pay attention to what I'm about to say. She asked a question about we from Africa. We have certain expectations. This culture builds a very good sense of, I want this. Perfect. But I want every youth who is here understand we. And the word we gives us the identity. That sets certain benchmarks. Whether you want or you don't. It sets certain benchmarks, and we've got to learn to appreciate who we are. We've got to appreciate who we are because there is no value in losing our identity from the word we. And that sets the benchmark of what kind of conversations can we have in terms of what you want to do. If you come to me and say you want to be a gay, there's no conversation around that. Because we, as Africans, we have our identity that defines what we can be. If you come to me and say I want to be an engineer and I wanted you to be a doctor, we have a conversation because there's no limit into possibilities. So I think setting some benchmark of the level of conversation that should happen is important. That's my opinion. It may be wrong, others may dispute it, but I think the identity of who we are starts at setting the benchmark of the kind of conversations we can have on the trade-offs.
How do you reconcile your parents' perspective about career path and your own perspective to your career that you want to pursue?
Yes. Well, for me, I was born in Kenya, came here with my parents, and from the moment we were here and I started school, they were very vocal that we came to this country for a reason, to give you an opportunity to do and be the best at what you wanted to do. And they were very open about them giving me that option to be the best at what I wanted to do. I remember them sitting me down, it's like, if you're gonna be a chef, you gotta be the best chef this world has ever seen. If you want to do, different types of careers. It wasn't a set, specific type of career. And I myself chose medicine until I changed my mind when I had experienced other things. And, that conversation at first of, I want to switch from medicine to journalism, it was a little rocky, but it's fine. And I feel like at the end of the day, it's trust that goes both ways. Like George was saying before, I trusted them with the fact that, they stuck to what they said originally with me wanting to be the best that I could be. And I also understood that the career path that I was presenting to them was something of a more unweathered road, and I would be the first in a lot of things, and I was okay with that because it's something that I wanted to do and that I believed in myself and that I trusted myself, that they trusted me, that I would take and be the best in. Now, fortunately enough, I ended up doing very well in journalism, and ended up doing very well in school in the path that I ended up choosing. And I'm sure that, and I know that they are now grateful that I stood up for myself, because sometimes that's just what you need to do. You need to stand up for yourself. You know yourself the best. You know what you're good in. And if you believe in yourself, and you are fortunate enough to have parents that believe in you, I have those parents, then you will succeed and do great things.
So, okay. Our next Oprah. Will be our next Oprah. I see that for you. Amen. Amen.
Person I like is because you have a lot of wisdom, and then you know the kind of person that you lose your own way. But then I'm one of Japan. I like listening to you. Now, as a parent, there is something that I've picked up from we have these young kids who will soon be joining college. And just came into my mind, we need to create a lot of platforms or forums to interact with these sons and daughters of ours, especially when it comes to making choices to go to college. We should expose them to the possibilities of what they can do in the future, instead of just leaving it to them. I think as a church, because we have a lot of professionals in this room, and we can have a lot of time with our young kids. They can ask questions, we can give the answers, direct them on what career they should, choose depending on their possibilities. And I'm pretty sure when we do this, at the end of the day, we are going to have a very fruitful and very productive young people. Point number 2, the last one. Not all of our sons and daughters are A students. Not all of them are A students. At the end of the day, they are still our sons and daughters. We don't lose them at the expense of the very bright students. Even they need our support. And I believe when we come together, we can support each other and urge them on. This is America. This is not where we came from. This is not Africa. This is America. This is the United States of America. There are a lot of opportunities. And there are millions and millions of opportunities that students can get into. So let us bring everybody aboard. Let us talk about this one. We don't need to be scared. And at the end of the day, we are going to make some positive contribution into this. Thank you.
And my journey to college didn't start when I left high school. My experience at high school was horrible. I think you heard me say the man you see now was not the young man or the boy in school. I was always in trouble. I literally hated school. And I remember sitting in the guidance counselor's office with my mother, and she was trying to get me into college prep classes. And the guidance counselor looked at her and said, "Mrs. Anderson, your son is not college material." Now, I think that hurt her more to hear that than it did me. And so when I graduated, I knew that college was not for me. And so I had a burning in my heart, and I wasn't lazy. So the first job that I got out of high school was driving a truck, working for a moving company. And so I learned the skill, and I had this drive inside of me that finally started to focus in the right direction. And in 5 years, I had my own moving company. And that was just the entrepreneur journey that I started, because from that point on, having a trade and having that desire to succeed, and also, when people count you out, it's also a motivator. I'll just put that out there as well, that you're going to want to do the very best that you can. And so I excelled in business on my own. And so I would just like to ask or speak maybe on behalf of, I think it was Mitchell. I did go back to school. my wife just asked me to mention, and I think one of the reasons why she mentions this is because she always claims the responsibility for my master's degree. and Joanne, I think you understand we need to be calling you Dr. Joanne, I'm sure. Because those kind of journeys you cannot do by yourself. But anyway, back to what I was saying. It's just a thought. And I know everyone, I've heard it mentioned a lot because it really should be a conversation that you have with your parents. But it should not be taken less like or as not important. The main thing is that they have a career and a choice, that you learn how to do something. Somewhere along my journey, I had the opportunity to speak with someone, and she was of a Jewish religion. It was in the process when I was behind this and doing different things. And she said in the Jewish culture, it was always from the time she was born, that it was always a given that you're going to learn how to do something. And you're going to do it to the best of your ability. And so I'd like to hear from anyone, if anyone's bold enough or may even consider themselves not college material, so to speak. What is your thoughts on a trade school or learning how to do something other than college?
I think Mr. Gideon and you bring a very important perspective that we cannot ignore. She didn't mention we need planters, we need education. The world needs everyone. It's not just academic. This is just one piece of it. But then I think we should not lose again half of that basic education and run away from it. Even those plumbing, you need really the basic education. And this is what I think, like Pastor said, you got the basic, and then we started opening the land of opportunity. We will all take different paths. Trade schools are excellent building blocks, even for the most wonderful academicians you can think of. They did not go as air students. They started somewhere. So I think it's very important to bring this conversation to where is the starting point? And my answer to your question is everyone has their own starting point, but they are basics. And the basic is, I think, high school education is not going to have a discussion around that. Everyone should aim in getting there, because then we start to divert, everyone going their own path. And that's important to acknowledge that we all take different paths. And don't ever discredit yourself if you think you cannot make it to college. I have said, and I can quote so many brilliant that did not start from that academic level. But as we grow, education is continuous. It's a lifelong process. And we will all learn different ways and build in different ways as we go along. And that is where we start seeing people, anyone thought, no, you cannot make it. Starting changing. It may have been the circumstance that that person is going through. We were all decided by God to start.